sharing that insight, Doctor. Please stay with us as we come back to you for our next discussion as well. Now we move on to Hungary. Hungarian Prime Minister Viktor Orban has launched a national petition to gain support for his policy of rejecting EU funding for Ukraine. With the elections approaching in April, the future of Hungary has been stressed as being at stake, with the election seen as a choice between war and peace. Meanwhile, the petition will be distributed to citizens, allowing them to express opposition to funding Ukraine's war efforts against Russia. However, Orban has also claimed without evidence that the EU could pressure Hungary into sending troops. Polls have shown growing opposition among Hungarians to EU support for Ukraine. Let's listen into what the Prime Minister of Hungary has shared.
Ideje, hogy a magyar választókat erről a kérdésről megfaggassuk. Ugye Magyarország az egyetlen olyan ország, amely a stratégiailag fontos kérdésekről mindig megkérdezi az embereket. Rezsicsökkentés, migráció, gender, Ukrajna uniós tagsága. És most itt van ez is. Ez egy nemzeti petíció formájában tárjuk a közvélemény elé, mindenki meg fogja ezt kapni, és lehetőséget kap arra, hogy nemet mondjon erre, és azt mondja a kormánnyal együtt, hogy mi nem fizetünk ránk, ne számítsatok, mi nem fizetünk. Ezeket a magyar jóléti intézkedéseket nem fogjuk megváltoztatni. Ezeket a család- és otthonteremtési intézkedéseket, nyugdíjasokat védő intézkedéseinket nem fogjuk megváltoztatni. Minden európai országot bele akarnak húzni a háborúba, mert miért csak francia és angol katona menjen oda és halljon meg, mikor itt van 26 európai uniós tagállam. 27. Tehát a dolog az úgy fest, hogy az a nyomás, hogy magyar fiatalok katonaként menjenek Ukrajnába, ez nőni fog. És jogos az a félelem, hogy az ukrán párti erők, DK, Tisza, mint minden nyomásnak ennek is engedni fog. És előbb-utóbb, ha Brüsszel párti kormányban Magyarország, a fiatalok elküldik Ukrajnába. Ez egy reális veszély. És ezt mindenképpen meg kell akadályozni, ezért mi nem akarunk se magyar fiatalt, se fegyvert, se pénzt küldeni Ukrajnába, nem akarunk belebonyolódni ebbe a háborúba, és nem akarjuk engedni, ez a háború beszippancson benne.
Now for this discussion, we welcome Dr. Gilbert Doctorow. He's a Russian affairs expert, joins us live from Brussels. Thank you very much, Doctor, for staying with us. Now, looking at this, how do you analyze, Hungary? Where does it stand?
Well, in the EU, it is commonplace to say that Mr. Orban is a great friend of Putin, and that therefore he is opposed to various policy positions of the EU's 29 member states. However, my understanding is that Mr. Orban is only a friend of the Hungarian nation, and not a friend particularly of anybody else, which is not surprising if you are a head of state. Unfortunately, too few of the heads of state in Europe are interested in the fate of their people who put them in power. Mr. Orban is one of them. I congratulate him on what is not only an opportunistic thing to do, which is distribute this petition, which you can otherwise call a referendum. It is an exercise in direct democracy. We use the word democracy a lot in Europe and in the world at large. But democracy that we know is representative democracy. That is through election of people who then hopefully are doing our will, although they are really under no obligation to do so. Direct democracy is typically referendum. The only country in Europe that practices this regularly is Switzerland. The rest of Europe does not. And so what he's proposing to do in a petition, which otherwise is a referendum, is precisely to demonstrate, to take the pulse of the Hungarian nation on an issue of primary importance. And I think that's a very good thing. It would be very nice if other European countries did the same and put to a vote of their people whether they should be funding Ukraine, whether they should be sending weapons to Ukraine. And I almost guarantee that the results would not be very different from what will come out of Mr. Orban's referendum petition, which will be rejection of further aid to Ukraine.
Okay, thank you for sharing that. And lastly, how could Hungary's rejection of EU funding for Ukraine affect its standing with other European Union members?
Well, I don't think it will change very much, because let's remember that in December, when the agreement was reached on lending 90 billion euros to Ukraine, under the fiction of a reparations loan. That is to say, it would be repaid out of reparations funds that Russia will never pay to Ukraine. That structure of the loan was possible ordinarily under conditions of unanimity, of 100% of the member states agreeing to it. By exception, by derogation, in fact, two countries, Slovakia and Hungary, were allowed not to participate in the debt that would be incurred to provide the 90 billion euros to Ukraine. And so today, it really is it is clear that Hungary has gotten away with it, that it is not participating, and I don't think that anything that Mr. Orban does or says now in this petition will change the feelings of the other 28 or 27 member states of the European Union towards Hungary.
With that, I would like to thank Dr. Rowe for joining us today.